haven't started doing retreats yet,
Mhm.
but
Yet.
the theme of this chat is breaking taboos and
Mm.
building community. And that much is something you are really good at, just building community, and especially online, which is,
Mm.
I think, it can be very challenging to build community online versus in person. It can be a little easier depending on, what you don't. But we met through one of your communities, Life Without Children. Actually, I
Life
think I
without
started
kids.
Life Without Kids. I
Mm.
think I started following Not So Serious Couple first.
Mm. Okay, yeah,
And
that's
then I found
the
my way to the other one.
gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Not So Serious Couple is the account that I have with my husband where we share our travels. After we got married in 2022, we decided to go on well, we decided before, but after we got married, we went on a year long honeymoon trip around the world. And my husband has always been into filming and all of that. So we started a YouTube channel to share our journey. Also because we never have known anyone that have done that personally. So it was a nice way to sharing. And so yeah, that account is just sharing our travel adventures. But then Life Without Kids is the account where I use it to build community around for child-free women.
Yeah. And that's when I was really like, okay, yes. Very
Yes,
connected.
yes. Nice,
Um,
nice, love it.
but that's another really good point, because you have the travel, and retreats are all about, I mean, there are different types of retreats, but
Mm.
for many, it's traveling to an unknown place where you're going to explore for the first time, so you can get out of your comfort zone. So it's good. A year-long honeymoon sounds like, wow, I want to do that.
Yeah, I never thought of it as a honeymoon. I just wanted to travel for a longer period because for me, for both of us. But I'm gonna talk about my own personal dream, right? Because then I met my husband and we shared the dream, but it was a personal dream first. I always felt like, oh, 1 or 2 weeks that you get, a year is not enough to like go to a place and really get out of your comfort zone, like you say. I mean, you can do it, but I wanted a little bit more. So going for a year allowed for a different type of travel and experience. We call it a honeymoon because it was right after our wedding, but it really felt like a pilgrimage almost. Like you learn so much, you challenge yourself so much, you see so much, that it just becomes like literally a life changing trip.
Yeah. And did you stay in the same place, or how many different places did you go to in that year?
We ended up going, well, actually, it ended up being like 15 months, a little bit longer than a year, but we went to 15 countries during
Wow.
that time. And obviously, inside each country, we travel around. So I cannot tell you right now how many cities, but it was 15 countries. So yeah, it was, it
Which
was
countries?
so we started in South America. We went back. We had been in Peru before. That's where we got engaged. And we decided to go back there again because we had such beautiful memory from that place, and we wanted to explore it more. So we started in Peru. Then we went to Mexico because I wanted to spend Dia de Muertos in Mexico. I wanted to have that experience, which ended up being an amazing experience. I mean, you were in Mexico, right? So
Hmm.
you probably have experienced it too. But for people that haven't, it's just coming from the type of culture and traditions that we have, and the views we have around death, and experiencing how the Mexicans celebrated it. Was, to me, it was so beautiful. I knew about it, but experience it was very beautiful, and I wanted to have that experience. So we
Yeah.
did that. We went to Colombia, Argentina, Brazil. Then we went to Asia. We went to Japan, Indonesia,
Wow.
Korea, India, Taiwan, and then we moved to Europe, and that we closed there. Went to Greece, Ireland, Spain, France, and then we
Wow.
came back to the US. But it
Okay.
was beautiful. It was beautiful.
I know this might be tough, So I'm gonna say, give me your top five.
I know I have had this conversation so many times, and I don't know if they stay the same because memories when you think back. But you top five places, top five countries.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say Japan. It was definitely top one for many reasons. I would say Taiwan really, really surprised me. It wasn't planned. We just happened to be nearby and we decided to try to go. So it was a nice surprise. Um, uh, every country has beautiful things.
I know.
But I would say those two stand out. And I mean, India, it was, I don't know if say it was top five, but it was definitely a very impactful time there. So it depends what top five mean to you, right? Because it's like food and experience and culture and people and uh, you know traditions and landscapes. And we went hiking in a lot of these places. We went to Patagonia in Argentina, and it was so beautiful and expansive. But those three jump to mind right now.
What
It's a
about
tough
for?
question.
I know. I told you. I know it's gonna be tough for a wellness retreat. Let's say.
Oh, okay. See, that's a little bit. So, for a wellness retreat, a lot of people go to Bali. We went to Bali during the trip when we went to Indonesia, and a lot of people choose Bali. I hear a lot of retreats. It was so okay. Can I be honest here?
Yes, please.
It was surprising because I didn't know. A lot of these places, I always loved reading and learning about countries, and history and all of that. But to be honest, a lot of specific things about places that I went, I didn't really know. I also wanted to be a little like surprised. I didn't want to be biased, right? Because everybody experienced things differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know much about Bali specifically other than what I see online for the most part, because people put beautiful photos of Bali, and it was a little bit surprising because the way we were traveling, we were backpacking, right? So when you backpack, you get into the people, the culture, the towns. You're not staying in a resort necessarily, or going to these tourist traps, let's say, and it was a very different picture than what I saw by what people posted online and
Mm-hmm.
these like wellness retreats and all of that. Like it didn't give me that same image.
Yeah.
It was also, have you been to Bali? You've probably been to Bali. No.
No,
Okay.
I have not.
Okay, so I don't want to taint your experience because you might have a great experience. I'm not saying I didn't have a good experience, but it was to me it was the contrast of what I thought or what I saw online versus what I experienced there was different. And so, in a specific place in Bali that I cannot recall the name right now, but which is kind of like the center, right, where a lot of people host these retreats and stuff like that. I would be walking around the streets and I almost felt a little bit like in California because it was it was more foreigners than local people, and literally with their yoga outfit and their yoga mat walking around, and it was very contrasting with the local people and how they were living and what they were doing, right? And so it's kind of like this Western idea, right, of wellness and all of these things being placed there, which I'm not saying is wrong, or there's no space for it or anything, but it was just a little shocking and contrasting to what I was, I guess, I don't know what I was expecting, but it was different.
Yeah.
And I will see, for example, we would be on a hike and we'll see like multiple people recording, live streaming, like let's say like yoga classes or whatever. But it was all Western people. So it was like a little bit interesting to me. But having said that, Bali is beautiful in terms of their nature, the nature. You can definitely find places, and there are a lot of places in Bali that do this, right? That are intended for hosting wellness retreats and all of that, because you have so much beautiful nature and like there is space to do that. It has beautiful weather because it's a tropical island, and you do have access to the local culture, right? You can experience that, which is very different from Western cultures, and so it's interesting and to know that part too. But I say all of that to say I don't know if I would choose that, which is again a lot. A lot of people choose Bali as a destination for retreats. I don't know if I would. I went there thinking that that would be maybe, but I don't know. I don't know if that would be my first choice. Now, going back to your question, for a wellness retreat, honestly, I think every country has the potential for to be a good place for a wellness retreat, because it's all about like the specific place and the energy, and how you do it. Now, having places that already have the infrastructure for this can make a retreat facilitator or host, make
Easier,
things easier. Yeah, because things are
for
so
sure.
many people are doing it that things are a little bit easier to get to. And I think that probably is the case with Bali, right? There's so many people doing it there that there's already an infrastructure behind it that maybe you can follow the steps a little bit more easier, and for people to access these places as well.
That's true.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have a place in mind. I think every place have the potential. It's just some places might be a little bit more challenging in terms of having that infrastructure already in place and having so many people already kind of like testing it, right?
Hmm. That's a really good answer. I like that. And also
It was a
because,
long answer.
yeah, yeah, but it was good. I need to put some chapstick on because it's driving me crazy. And if I
Sure.
don't fix it right now,
I hate dry lips.
I hate it. I'm just here. I'm like, stop doing that, Krystal. Um, so while I find this, yeah, I think there's lots of different ways to host retreats. Like some people really like the remote and just being the pioneer and going out there and figuring
Exactly.
things out. And other people, prefer to have a more catered experience where everything is just
Uh,
done for them so they don't have to do any of that stuff. So,
exactly.
like you said, it could be anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it
Thank
really
you.
can.
Ay, qué rico. Okay. So, yeah, I wanted to mention to you that I have living in Mexico, I've really seen a lot of what you were saying, that what's in the images, what's on Instagram, the photos we see, and then the reality of things. It's almost like you pull back the curtain and it's like, oh, it's like Disney World, and then what's behind all the theme park, what's going on. And it's the first time like Mexico City right now is having a boom with foreigners, and there's a lot of good things and there's a lot of not so good things. It's the first time that I walk around there. Like when I first moved here 8 years ago, I would hear somebody speaking English and I would be like, because it was like, oh my God, you're speaking English, English. And now it's everywhere. It's hard to find someone, speaking Spanish, everybody. And it feels weird. It feels weird, even though I'm part of that. Um, So yeah, I think, and there's an interview I did with Pluma. He's like one of the first interviews, and he's a facilitator in Tulum, and he lives very closely with the Mayan people in Tulum. And we talked a lot about the importance of, if you're gonna have a retreat in a space, don't just go and like take from the space. Go and give to the space. So you're also respecting the local people, the culture, and giving to them what is theirs.
Yeah, yeah, I do believe in that too. I understand that doing things like that can be challenging, right? If you don't know, but I think that as long as there's an effort to honor, the land and the people, the culture that you're choosing to be in, I think that's important. I think. I don't know. To me, it's important. It just aligned with my values, right? So I that's something that if I were to do a retreat in a foreign country, or in a place with a different culture or whatever, like I would try to go as far as I can to honor that and to make it part of it, right? Part
Yeah.
of the space. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing something in a place, like the energy of the place is there, right? It affects whatever you're doing. So I think it's important to make it part of it and honor that.
Hmm. And speaking of honoring and values, is your dog drinking water?
Yes, can you hear that?
I know that sound. I'm like, someone's drinking
You
water.
have a dog too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not my dog, but it's the dog I'm taking care of. She's so
Oh,
beautiful.
that's cute. So, speaking of honoring and values, good segue into life without kids and how you've created this whole community around a woman honoring and being honored for her choice to not have children. So, how did all of that start?
um So the actual Instagram, I started as an Instagram account, Life Without Kids, life dot without dot kids, and it started in 2019 because back then I did not know anyone around me that was child free by choice or that identified as being child free by choice. Um, I knew people without kids, but they wouldn't say that they didn't want them, right? They just said maybe later, I don't know, I'm not sure, you know. And
Hmm.
so I didn't feel that way. I felt like I really didn't want to have kids by choice. And so I felt like I couldn't be the only one, and so that's why I started. My husband and I, we both felt like we wanted to like meet other couples that it wasn't everything all the time about their kids, you know, um, and which is fine, but we wanted a little bit diversity in our
Yeah.
relationships with friends, and so yeah, that's why it started in 2019, or that was my purpose with it. And then it just continued growing. I was so happy that there were so many other people that also didn't want to have kids, and I just literally had it as a community building thing, right? I just wanted to build community. But it wasn't something that I was focusing on too much. I had my job, I had many other dreams. I was training to become an accredited coach. I was my husband and I were planning for our trip because it took us 5 years to plan for it. Right? We
Wow.
wanted to do it we wanted to do it in the way that we wanted to do it. We wanted to make sure that we left debt free. So we wanted to we made a plan to make sure that we paid off any debt that we had from. Really, it was just student loans that we still had, and so it takes time to plan for these things, and so or at least that's how we decided to do it. And so I was busy with so many other things. So I got like I said, I became an accredited coach after training and all of that. So I started my business. I was coaching different different type of people, from career executive coaching, to more personal um, uh, things like self-confidence and all of that. Then I started also working as a trainer for a program that empowers and educate female entrepreneurs, Latina female entrepreneurs, small business owners. And so I started also doing that. So I was very busy. I was very busy. And so Life Without Kids was just kind of like a part-time thing, maybe, where I would just engage and empower people. That also chose not to have kids and just build conversation, um, and yeah, and then it kept growing. I guess a lot of people felt that way, and I was so shocked and surprised that that was the case.
Me too. When I first saw it, I was like, I can't believe this exists. And it's saying all the things that I think but never say and don't have anyone to say it to. And
Yeah.
I love how what you said, you were like, I really wasn't focused on this. It's just something that I was building on the side and I was building it for myself. And that's the thing that everybody says
Hmm.
about the thing that just blows up.
Mm, I guess so. I guess that makes sense. Because yeah, I guess when it's something that you truly, to me was like, I mean, this is just me, right? This is something I'm passionate about. I was open in my personal life about it. I just didn't have people to share that also agreed or felt the same way. So obviously
Yeah.
the people around me would, you know, I mean, I'm not gonna say that people were necessarily harsh or offensive, or like the people close to me, but they had their own opinions. Our families definitely didn't agree. I mean, they were like, "Why? You should have kids. Who's gonna take care of you? When you're old, or I want
Yeah.
grandchildren, or all these things that we know." A lot of people think, feel, or say, and but I was still open about it. I just wanted to be able to talk about those things with people that also felt that way. And it happened that there were a lot of people that were feeling that way. And then what I encountered is that there were people that felt that way, but were not open about it in their life, right? And so through my own, I guess, experience and beliefs and perspective, also besides building like community and starting conversation, I also started kind of like empowering people to just be honest, be authentic. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Like we don't have to please people, and stuff like that. So that's how it started.
hmm I want to share this with you because I think it's so random that today I was saying yesterday I was saying happy birthday to a friend. And I was like, oh, how long has it been since I've spoken to this friend? And I'm looking back in our messages and I don't even remember what it is. I'm trying to look back at it now, but she's like, oh, when are you gonna start popping out some bambinos? And I was like, yeah, I'm not the motherly type. And this was like, this was like years ago. And I just thought it was really funny that I would share it with you because I mean, even back then, it's not
Yeah.
something that I was outwardly would. But I knew, like you just
Hmm.
know, like, yeah, that's cool, but no, not for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, no, totally. And it happens so often and it happens so much and it's so normal and natural. I guess people, make it as natural and normal to ask those questions or to say those things that we just like, I grew up the same way, right? It's like, yeah, I know what people are gonna say, like it's okay, I just smile and keep going, when in reality it's like, I mean, this it doesn't have to be normalized,
Yeah,
right? Um, and it's part of what I call the child-free journey, right? It's been a journey for me, and I've clearly now by coaching other people can see and understand how that journey looks like for a lot of us, and it starts that way for a lot of people, right? Where it's like we take it for granted and normal that that's what's expected, and people will make comments about it, um and but then you continue going deeper in your journey and just learning and unlearning and you know um kind of like going deeper into your power, the power of your choice, and taking back that pride and confidence about your decisions. And it's a beautiful journey. And I'm happy that I help other people go through that journey as well, because I didn't have someone growing up
yeah,
going through that journey with me. And so yeah, it has evolved, and now to me it's an honor now to be able to do that.
yeah. We've talked about this before because I went to was it the first women's circle that you did online?
I think it was the second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're watching and you want to join a circle of women that are, you know, focused on the same topic of just being child free, it's awesome. It's an awesome circle. So in that
Thank you.
circle, I mentioned because you had us all bring like what's one thing that's been said to you, right? And I think I just had it and it just went away. Um, well, whatever it was I said that thing. And now speaking to you, it just made me think, you know, when you have other people in your family that are having babies, there's a lot of praise. There's a lot of praise. There's a lot of celebration. There's a lot of lifting up. There's a lot of wow and congratulations. And there should be. That's wonderful. It's beautiful. And then, you know, when I first started hearing about let's celebrate people, our friends when they launch a business, you know, let's have a business shower, things like that. And those are the ways in which I would have loved to have been supported, but wasn't. And whenever I launch something, it's just like, oh, that's cool. You know, like very nonchalant. And it's like, all right, all right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It does it stings a little bit at first, but then I guess you get used to it, and then you find your community, like finding other people like you that confirm this is the path that I want, and I am happy here, and there are other people like me, and we can support each other and give each other what we were missing before.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
make me cry.
I didn't say anything. It was you. No, but it's true. You know, it touches you and it touches me all the time. I mean, I receive so many comments, you know, messages, you know, people sharing their, you know, today this happened to me, or you know, yesterday this happened to me. I can't believe it. It's so true. It happens all the time, you know, and it really moves me because first of all, because it makes me feel wow, okay, I'm not alone. Second, because I wish that when I was going through that and feeling the way that, you know, these women are telling me these things are making them feel, I wish I had someone I can just write a comment to or a message, and that person will be back, you know, will reply back with an empowering, caring, loving message for me, you know. I wish I had that. I didn't even know if that was a possibility or if that existed, you know, so that I could find that person or that community. And but it's so real, you know, the need for that space and that support is real, you know. And that's what happened when I became a coach and I started working on my business part-time as a coach, and I was seeing clients and all of that. I was running Life Without Kids at the same time, and it never occurred to me that I could offer coaching to these people, to this woman in in the Life Without
Wow.
Kids community. Can you, right now it sounds so like duh, but it's because first of all, because that wasn't how why I started it, right? But secondly, I just again I didn't have that. I didn't know, right? In even going through my coaching training and having my own coaches that I hired, never heard of a child free coach or a coach, you know, specializing in child free women.
Yeah.
Never. So it, you know, because I hadn't seen anyone doing it, because it wasn't presented to me as a, you know, nobody offered it to me as a service before, it just didn't occur to me at all. And then, you know, after years working as a coach and growing the Life Without Kids community and listening to what these people, these women were telling me, right, through the stories and the polls and the questions. I love interacting through the DMs. Then I was like, oh, hold on. You know, these are things that coaching is such a valuable and helpful tool to to guide women, to help women, not to guide them, but to be, you know, that person who walks that journey with them, right?
Mhm.
And so that's when I was like, oh, sure, let me start offering this. This makes total sense. But yeah, it's so crazy how we don't see things, and that's why, you know, representation is so important, right? That's why
Yeah.
we started sharing on YouTube and Instagram, my husband and I, in the Not So Serious Couple account, our journey to make this dream possible, because we didn't know anyone. I mean, we obviously, with YouTube and all of this, you can see people doing it, but I didn't know anyone personally, right? Someone that I
Hmm.
knew that looked like me, especially that looked like me or like us, right? I'm Latina, my husband is African American. Um, we didn't see a lot of people that looked like us doing this, right? And so um, I think when we see people that look like us, we can doing the things that we want to do, or living the values that that we also hold. It feels like that's possible for us too, right? It's kind of like it gives us permission to step into that reality that we want to call in.
Hmm. Definitely. And you said a lot of things there. You have a background in marketing, right? Which kind of helps with you know what you're doing online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it
So,
changes a lot, so you have to stay keep up. But yes, I do have a foundation that is very helpful.
yeah. But I mean, you know about the importance of branding and having a target audience. And even when you know those things, I mean, you can tell me if you disagree or you think otherwise. But even when you know those things, sometimes it's so hard to see.
Yes.
I mean, like you said, you were like, yeah, I had this account
Yeah.
and I was doing coaching, and I was like, oh, like, yeah, maybe I should coach these people. I never thought about that before. But how much power there is in niching down. And we hear a lot about, niching down, but more than a marketing term, just being very specific about what you are going through, that I don't know, maybe somebody else might resonate with. Because I think oftentimes when we think about, oh, this is a good niche, this market is huge, like this is such a business opportunity. That's not that's not the way to go about it,
Yeah,
right?
and this is the thing. It might work for some things and some, and some people. I don't, because you can find examples for almost almost everything, right? So it might work for some people, but um, when it comes to things like what we're talking about, um, that it comes also from like a personal passion and a personal project that you want to also make, a business, or build community around, whatever it is. Yeah, it is. If you use that way of thinking like you describe, it might be harder to find what you're looking for, right? And yes, by niching, I mean, I think that applies to so many other things in life, right? I mean, the other day, 2 days ago, I hosted a masterclass, Awaken Your Inner Child-Free Goddess masterclass, which, the replay is available for people to go and sign up to watch. And it was beautiful. It was great. But I was giving an example because we were talking at some point about being specific about what we want. And I was talking about the example of how I met my husband. Back then, we've been together for 11 years now. Time really flies. But back then, I was using dating apps. I was in Washington, D.C., building my career, being a young, fun, successful girl, and just climbing the ladder, and just focusing on my career and my goals, and also dating. And I was using dating apps, and I would, back then, I mean, these dating apps have really evolved, but back then, the one that I was using, it had a lot of filters that you can use, right? So you can filter by age, religion, salary, political affiliation. It even had astrological zodiac sign, a lot of filters. But I would always use a couple, like the most important ones, like age and like a couple, right? Like the most general ones, like a range. And I remember after I graduated from my MBA, I was kind of tired of dating because Also, as a child free woman, dating was a little bit challenging. When I would share these things with men, uh, their perception would change, like the dynamic would change. Most of
Mm.
them, to my surprise, wanted to have kids in the future. I thought that being child free was going to be a bonus for
Yeah.
guys, because in my mind, it's like guys don't want responsibility for the most part, so they will be happy that they won't have to do that. And to my surprise, as a young woman in my early 20s, men wanted kids in the future. And so the dynamic would change, and it was very disheartening. So after I graduated from my master's, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a break. Like I'm gonna go live my life, travel, and I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't need no man. That was my and I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it this app one last try, and I'm gonna use every single filter because I'm gonna give it up. So might as well just try the crazy thing.
All
And
right.
I used every single filter. I put the zodiac sign, I put Taurus because somewhere I read that it was compatible with me, and I never really knew anyone that I dated was Taurus. I don't think I dated any Taurus before that I knew of. Um, so I was very specific, like every single filter I used. And Ryan popped up. And we met, and the rest is history. So
Wow.
and this is a real story, right? It was so funny because I even we talked a little bit on the app for a while before we met, and I ended up printing all our profiles and our first conversations, and I had it in our wedding for people to read. And it was funny. It was beautiful too. People really enjoyed reading that. But what I wanted to say with that is that really opened my eyes about the importance of being specific, right? I wasn't doing before because maybe, I was thinking I will limit my chances or my opportunities, the amount of people. And it's never about amount, right? It's I didn't need 1,000 men. I just wanted one. Right. And so I think the same can be applied in like so many areas in our lives. And in this case, like you were saying, niching down on an audience, because you can go very specific to what is it that you want, or
Hmm.
who is the people that you want to help. And it clarified things.
And maybe, I mean, you're lucky enough to know who you are and what you want. But maybe the other issue is that sometimes it's difficult to pick that because you don't even know who you are and what
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the part that, as child-free women, sometimes is a struggle, right? Because we know that we don't want to have children, but what is it that you want? Right? What is it that you want? And it's part of the child-free journey that I was talking about, to go through that internal journey of self-discovery, of allowing ourselves to also change, because as we grow, go through our seasons, we change too, and our needs change, and our desires change, or evolve, and that's fine. And sometimes we stay stuck in what we wanted 10 years ago. you know and how have we changed? So maybe that desire doesn't fit who we are right now, right?
Hmm.
But it's like you said, it's sitting down to not only reflect, but to start shifting that. It's a whole process. It's a whole journey, and that's what, to me, coaching helps with, holding that space for people to go through that journey.
Yeah. So what about retreats?
What
When
about
are you going to
retreats?
have a retreat?
I know. So, like I said, so okay, so like I said before, coaching for child free women didn't start when I started this community, right? It started way later, because it got to a point. where I was like, oh, this, I understood, like, this community is growing. I'm not doing anything, I wasn't paying for ads or doing crazy marketing for at all. I was literally just posting. And again, engaging in conversation with people. So, but I noticed it's like, oh, this is growing, and there is there is a need, because I
Mm-hmm.
get so many messages and stories and all of this, very emotional ones, sometimes. And at that point, I realized, like, okay, this is something that I'm super passionate about. This is something that clearly my skills can help, the coaching. Um, I started desiring to focus on that, but I already had some other things in my life that I was focusing on. Right, like I said, I was growing my business. I was still my career in Washington D.C., and I was working on my personal dream, our personal dream of traveling. So we were saving, and we were focusing on these other things. So I realized that I wanted to do Life Without Kids to, take it to another, to the next level. But I it wasn't the time, right?
Yeah.
Because I was already invested and committed to these other goals that I have started. So I said to myself, okay, I'm just going to continue nurturing this community, because I would do that regardless. And once I have the once it feels aligned, right? Once I have the time and the space to really focus on it and give it my best, then I would do that. And so when we came back from our trip, it happened. Many things happened. I'm not going to go into detail now, but it just everything aligned, for me to have the opportunity to invest more time and resources into the community. And so, yes, the retreat is part of one of those desires I have. But I also, like I said before, I know I'm a firm believer that things come at the right time, right? Opportunities come at the right time if you are, if you pay attention, right? And if you're cultivating your energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your desires. And so I know it's going to happen. When it's going to happen, I don't know, but it's definitely a desire that I've had for years now, to be able to bring this online community,
Mm-hmm.
like live,
Yeah.
because it's a different energy, right? It's a different energy. And I would love to do that. I would love to do that.
And how big is your community now? How big have you grown Life Without Kids?
Like Without Kids is almost 20,000 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of child-free women.
It I know. Trust me, when I started I was like, maybe I'm lucky if I like maybe 500 people there that I can talk to and like do some cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, but we can dream a little bit and talk about like some of the things we were talking about before that you could do on a retreat. Like
Hmm.
we talked about connecting to your menstrual cycle in a way that's
Yes.
sacred. And, there's a lot of emphasis on the getting pregnant and then
Hmm.
birthing and then afterwards, and that is, you know, the most beautiful thing about being a woman. And it is one of the most beautiful things. But then there is this other side, like the yin and the yang of it. So, like, what is being able to tap into that same area of creation? I'll give you
Yeah.
the mic here.
Yes.
You can take it away.
Yeah. 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 No, you're 100%, 100%. And when you said, this is the most, like, what people think it's the most beautiful thing about a woman giving birth and whatever, it is beautiful, but it's not that action is beautiful, it's that women are beautiful. Right. So, but we, again, society, the way that we're raised in this patriarchal society, it's just became that, right? It's like womanhood is attached to motherhood, when it's not, right? It's not. And I love, when I was talking the other day in my master class, the fact that ancient religions worship female gods, right? goddesses, and it was seen as normal and natural, right? And not only that, but inside the goddesses that were worshipped, there were child-free goddesses, right? Goddesses that chose not to have children, right? That ask to be granted not to have children.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
yes, yeah. I'm telling you, go to the master class. All you have to do is
Okay.
sign up, and you'll watch the replies. The replay is free. But just to give you like a little bit, yes, for example, in Greek mythology, one of the goddesses, Hestia, she's not a lot of people don't talk about her because she didn't have any drama. In Greek mythology, there's a lot of drama, right? There's rape and incest and crazy stuff. But she didn't have a lot of drama. And so that's why maybe it's not talked about a lot. But basically, the myth is that she survived an attempted rape. And after that, she asked Zeus, how do you say Zeus in English?
Zeus?
Zeus. I always forget. She asked Zeus to grant her not to have, to not have children and not to have to get married. And she was granted that because she didn't want
Mm.
to. And she dedicated her life, her powers, whatever, to her inner world. And she was the goddess of the home, which represent, your inner world. And people will worship her. People will keep like a flame because she had that it's called is that the warmth of the home. I don't know how to describe it. There's another word for it, but it's escaping me now. And people would have a flame in their houses in honor of this goddess, and will worship her, right? And she was a child-free woman, a represented, right, a child-free woman, and it was so normal. People didn't think she was less of a goddess. People didn't think she was, it was worshipped like with all the other goddesses. And so when we think about this thing, we can realize, we can see more clearly how modern society and modern religions and all of this had been so centered in this male energy, masculine energy, male's behaviors, male characteristics. And it has not only that, but it has also taken away from everything that a woman is, right? And just put it in a box of like, no, this is what a woman is, and this is what she does, and this is what's valuable about her, and these are her contributions, and anything outside of that is either demonized or dismissed, ignored, less than, whatever.
Hmm.
And it's like, how is it that we have evolved or progressed in so many areas? But if we go back, there were people that saw these things, in way more healthier, and empowering for everyone. So yeah, it's just. I'm sorry. I forgot the initial question. I was gonna wrap it up, but I forgot the initial question. Oh, you were
It,
talking about the menstruation and how to honor. Yes. What I wanted to say with all of that is that there's so much more to a woman than just motherhood. And the same, like you said, the same power of creation and the same characteristics and qualities that we give to mothers is not something that is exclusive to women that decides to have kids, right? Is
mhm.
all of us, is part of our womanhood. Even the nurturing, right? When if you have pets, you nurture them, you nurture your plants, you nurture your relationships, and that is a quality that we assign just to motherhood when it is clearly not not true. Everybody can nurture, and we do it all the time. So, yes, it's super important. I think that would be very beautiful and powerful to bring it into a live space, for specifically for child-free women to connect, through ceremony and rituals and just being together with other sisters, connect with that truth and that power.
Yeah. And then we were talking about also doing another well, you doing another rendition of that where you do bring in women that don't have children and women that do, and coming together in that moment of honesty, like of what are the pieces that separate us? What are the lies that we've been told about one another that keep us from truly being supportive of each other? Like in our respective ways, but also that we can come together. And like you said, at the end of the day, we are all women. It's just some of you are like the sun and you guide the day, and some of us are like the night and or the moon and we light the night, but both are impossible for a full 24-hour cycle to happen. You can't have one without the other. And just that
Yes.
moment of brutal honesty has got to be like really powerful, no?
Yes, yes, yes. It's been in my dreams for so long. I'm hoping that sharing it, because this is the first time that I say it to someone other than my husband. And I hope that by putting it out there, it's just the universe, find its way back to me. But yes, I think it would be very, very beautiful, very powerful, because at the end of the day, this is something that I talked a lot about, especially in the Child Free Women Circle. Um, is the sisterhood wound, right? And it's a way to remember and reconnecting with the truth that we are all women. We are all, you know, on the same boat, and everything that we do is important, is necessary. Every contribution that we bring, every creation that we bring to life is important, is necessary, is sacred, right? And whether that is kids or is something else. And but like you said, there's so many beliefs that have kind of like divide us. And when I was sharing about my dating life, it was hurtful that men will think differently of me because I didn't want to have children. But what really was more hurtful was the woman around me that judged me for it, right? Because I did have that too, which again, um, made me feel the way I felt about female relationships, which I think a lot of us experienced at some point in our lives, right? Being criticized or being judged by other women makes us like separates us, right? Because it's like, oh, okay, I don't feel safe to be myself or to be vulnerable, to be honest with you, and so as I grew older, wiser, I realized that that's something that, yeah, maybe I was hurt, but one, I'm sure that I've hurt too because I'm human, and I'm sure that it has happened at some point. But second, is on me to create those relationships and to heal that sisterhood wound, and to yeah, create that space for connection again, for reconnection, and that part specifically always gives me the chills, right? To be able to connect mothers and child free women in that sacred space where we can see each other truly, right?
Yes. Wow. So, okay, I want to ask you one last question. And basically, I mean, we've talked a lot about traveling, community building, what the work you do with Child Free. So when it comes to retreats, mm, I don't know, what comes naturally for you as advice or something that you want to share about retreats to retreat leaders or people hosting?
Well, I mean, if I look at it as, I'm a person who would like to host a retreat, I will, I think about the resources that I will need to make this happen. And so I would need a place, right? That is already, like we were talking before about the infrastructure, right? That already has at least the basic things that you need to run a retreat, like the space, the accommodation, etc. And I and if it's a and also obviously I would say the travel part, right? To help people get there, which is also part of the infrastructure. And so I think if someone, so you're saying like what advice I would give to people that have those resources so that people like me can go and do the retreats there.
Or just whatever's coming up for you. Like if you have a question that you want to ask,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think for me, like if I was looking right now to do the a retreat next year, for example, I think I will be looking at, I think it would be similar to probably what someone will be looking at me as to come to my retreat. I guess I would be looking to someone who makes me feel a certain way, right? That makes me feel confident about the place, the offerings, the resources available. That like we were talking before about the values, right? So that the place align with my values, right?
Yeah.
And honor the place and the culture and the people where whatever this place is, and probably also the support that these people can give me, especially if it's somewhere that I don't know or I've never been, and how to just to make me feel confident that because I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna bring my energy and I'm gonna bring people. And so I would want to feel like it's a place that align with what I'm going to be doing, right? And the energy
Hmm.
that I'm going to be moving there. So yeah, I
Maybe
think
it's
that would be the most
Greece.
important. Maybe it's Greece. Oh, because of the Greek goddess? It could be.
Maybe
It could
it
be.
could be.
It's beautiful. I've been to Greece twice, and it's beautiful. So I would be super excited having a retreat in Greece. Yeah, I think that would be beautiful.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's it. Is there anything else you want to share about our conversation in general or retreats?
Oh, hey, Sadie. Um, um, you know, just I wanted to thank you for this opportunity, for putting this together and for what you're doing. I think it sounds like an amazing resource for people, not only people looking to host retreats, maybe like me, but people that have the facilities to accommodate this, to be able to have that, to connect both and other resources as well. So really I commend you, and I thank you for that, because I think it's a great resource that a lot of us can it can be very helpful for a lot of us. And other than that, invite viewers to our community, life.without.kids on Instagram. And there you also will find the Child Free Woman Circle that we meet every other Thursday. And it's a beautiful space where, like I said, we can connect and just be ourselves and talk about things that matter to us, and relate to other women. And other than that, you can also sign up to watch the replay of the masterclass I was talking about, Awaken Your
Hmm.
Inner Child-Free Goddess. It was beautiful, and it was full of a lot of insights and empowering reminders, and also exercise that you can do, to help you start or dive deeper into your
Hmm.
child-free journey. And also, if you are interested in coaching with me, there's an opportunity to do that too. You'll find all of those resources and links in my bio.
Yay! Okay. Thank you, Wilmarie. Thank you.
Thank you so much.